Now we are ready to move on with our next speaker, Vera Rabkina from AppFollow. Hi, Vera. Hey, can you hear me? Yeah? Oh, 1 second. Yeah, no worries. Yes,
I can hear now, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So I
great.
conquered the Zoom. Sorry about that. Right.
Zoom is an eternal struggle for all of us.
It is.
How's it going for you?
Well, it's good. I having a wonderful day. How are you guys doing?
Also great. I'm very excited for today's session. So before we start, I have a little personal question. So am I correct that you are playing in a TV game on Russian state television, an intellectual game?
Yeah, that's true. I play Watch Where I Ran. It's like, yeah, I think elevated type of quiz. I'd say. Yeah. I played Muhin's team. That's Muhin's team.
That's great. So being in front of the camera is a very easy thing for you, right?
Well, I wish it was so, yeah, but I'd say you get used to like being around and presenting certain stuff of things and replying to questions. I'd say is more kind of common thing for me.
Great. So, well, we know about your experience of being online and in the air right now. So we are now ready to move on with your presentation. Let's listen to ratings and reviews. Please, you can start right now.
Right. So, hi guys, hi everyone. Yeah, thank you for joining. My name is Vera Rabkina. I'm head of rating reviews product at AppFollow. And today we're going to talk about how app reviews have become the North Star metric for any big player in mobile market. So I'd say app reviews is a type of thing that has been in the shadow of mobile management for quite a time, but now we see how the trend is rising and more huge companies are adopting and taking advantage of managing reviews in the right way to affect their profit metrics. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show some cases from them. I'm also going to share some industry insights and provide some hacks how you can build your reply to review strategy for the growth of your products. But before we start, let me just quickly. Okay, I have some technical problem. So yeah, right. So I conquered that, right? So let me just tell a couple words about AppFollow. AppFollow is a B2B platform for mobile developers. So we provide app insights and tools for your teams to be more efficient and build your strategy, also to track the strategy of your competitors. So generally, it's, I think, the most useful tool for SR specialists, customer support, product managers, and product marketing managers. We track more than 9 million keywords as far as SR based rate, and there are more than 150 million reviews processed monthly, which is a huge amount. So definitely we're the guys who know a lot about reviews and how they work. So yeah, what we did is we talked to our customers and built up some cases with them sharing how reviews help them to build their strategy. And what we see is that there are more and more new customers coming, and not all companies know how to operate with reviews properly and why they should do that. So I think we start with this. And yeah, like the main question, like one of the more common questions we get talking about reviews is, and I think this is just a question there's in the industry, is why reviews are so important. So let's start with that. But I think, like general, the quick answer is that replying to reviews is important for product success, right? But let's figure out what a successful product is. Since now we're a little bit in distance, so you have to think about your mind and think like answer just yourself, not me, what a successful product is to you. But generally, for me, a successful product is a profitable product, and I think this is like a thing that unites all type of products, be it a game, be it a utility app, lifestyle app, no matter what. So no matter what stage of life cycle it is, generally it's all about profits. And in case we boil down all things we do with video, sound, product design, level design, sale initiatives, no matter what, so it just gets down just to two major metrics. So the first one is customer acquisition cost, right? So basically, this is the cost of your traffic or how much budget you have to spend for one customer to install your app. So this is customer acquisition cost. We'll talk about it in detail. Another one is LTV, right? Lifetime value. So this is basically how much every customer would pay during its whole usage in the app, right? So generally, everything we do is either about affecting customer acquisition costs or affecting LTV or both, right? So in case customer acquisition cost is lower than LTV, then you're fine. Like they tell to say that the perfect combination is 1 to 3, right? Because the difference between these two is the margin profit you get. In case the customer acquisition cost is higher than LTV, you might be in trouble. Again, this depends on the life cycle of the app, because this means that you spend more than you're earning. So this is like generally the whole general idea of all profitability of any app. Of course, there can be certain additional details or different types of the way you monetize it. But at the end of the day, you generally want to spend less than you earn. Right now, let's make a step further and look what compounds those metrics. Right, let's start from customer acquisition cost. Right, so again, if to make it very minimal and simple, it gets down again to 2 factors. So the first factor is CTR costs for UA creatives. So what does it mean? It means that, well, it's click-through rate, how many ads you have to display for a customer to click on it. So in case you're using paid traffic, this is like one of the major things you're looking at. In case you're just relying on organic traffic, this would be 0, right? And the second factor is conversion to install on store page. So basically, once the user clicked on the ad, or he just put it in the search on the App Store and found your store page, right? The store page of your app. How many of those would decide to install it? So basically, it's either this or that, affecting the whole marketing budget. And these 2 things are huge 2 factors that affect the marketing efficiency. If we go to LTV, I think it's a little bit more complex situation here. There are just more departments involved. So the factors here are average revenue per user, and this is a very complex metric. And I think generally, in terms of product managers, majority of time they're trying to affect this one. So this is how much each user would pay you. Basically, this is this V, which stands for value. And the next one is retention rate, which is a lifetime, stands for lifetime, right? So basically, at the end of the day, LTV is how much a user would pay you and how long he will be with your product, which means that, well, the bigger retention rate, the more chances to make a purchase he has, right? And now there are many more metrics behind these 2. Generally, LTV is about 2 major factors, right? So in terms of LTV, again, there are more departs here. So of course, LTV is highly defined by product design. Well, basically, you just want to make the best product you can, and like the better the product, the more profit it can be, right? Another one is sales efficiency. So it's not only about the product, but the way the monetization scheme you choose, whether it's ad-based or it's subscription or it's in apps, and when you're promoting those in apps or subscriptions. So this is also affects LTV heavily. And again, this is about customer experience, and I believe that retention rate is very closely connected with customer experience. Rate, because, well, it's a proof fact that the more the fewer frictions there are, the higher the retention rate, right? So generally, it's all about this thing. So it's just 4 major factors you want to focus on, right? And what we did, we talked to our customers and we talked about some statistics and some experiments. So what we saw is this, the fact 3 out of 4 key metrics are affected by reviews. Of course, they're affected in a different proportion, and it can be different for a different type of game or different type of industry. But the truth is that, well, reviews are a unique aspect that affects both customer acquisition cost and LTV. And it would be, I think, a mess to ignore such a metric. Now let's figure out how they're affecting the metrics, right? Because, well, this is why we're here for. So I think it was the best put by and the most concisely put by Apple Developer Guide. So what they have there is they suggest that app developers ask for rating and respond to reviews to improve your app discoverability, encourage downloads, and build rapport with people who use your app, which basically means that by replying to reviews, you'll be able to be more noticeable in store, which is this conversion rate, get more downloads, which again, this is about traffic, and about understanding your customers better, and as a result, affecting your relationships and how much they pay you, right? So we'll go by each of the metric, and I'll be showing some cases how what the results are and how they're affected. So we'll start from conversion to install, right? And this is the case from Playtic, who is known for social casino gaming. So the case they had, the experiment they had, so they had a Slotomania app, for which they didn't reply to reviews, and they built an experiment and replied to 70% of all reviews with from 1 to 4 star rating rate. And so this is implemented, and what they saw is that they saw a growth in CVR by 15% in just 10 weeks, which is quite quick for experiments. And it shows that generally, just simply by replying to reviews, you affect your rating. So they successfully grew the rating by 0.7 star, which is a lot, right? And as a result, it affected their conversion rate. And in terms of money, I guess, like just imagine in case the cost for one install the app is, in case it is $1. So with this amendments, it would be 85 cents. And you know how effective it is. And just think about the amount of budget and think how much of your marketing budget 15% is. So this is, I think, a really great result. And this is really a great way for to improve your conversion rates and make your budget more efficient. So another investigation we did ourselves. So what we did is we went to App Store and Google Play and investigated what is the rating for the apps in the top charts. And by top charts, I mean all the top paid, top free, top grossing, and also featured collections, etc. So it turns out that, well, actually, in case you have the less 4 stars, you have very little chances to be featured and to be on the top. So the majority of those apps are either 4 or all of them have a rating of 4 stars or more, right? And you see it's a little bit different for Google Play and App Store. For App Store, 4.5 is like a must. So this is, I'd say, like the benchmark they set for the best. So if you want to be among the top, this is something to aim for. For Google Play situation, a little bit different, but again, you see that in case it's lower than 4 stars, you have like really no chances to be in the top. So, and this basically means that this is the benchmarks top apps have for themselves, but also this means that in case you aim for organic traffic, by having a low rating, you lose up to half of your potential organic downloads, which is again a lot, which is as well part of your marketing budget. Right, so as a result, I'd say that replying to reviews will make your marketing budget up to 20% more efficient. I think this is a great growth and something that, well, you definitely need for your strategy. So the next one metric to look at is average rating per user. And I'd say that, well, I think this is the most complex metric there is generally in app management because there's so many factors. But what I know from my experience, it really relies heavily on how good your product is and how well you understand your customers. So I'd say that reviews are a perfect feedback source to improve product quality and, as a result, average rating per user. Because while the reason I like reviews so much is that you don't have to set 1,000 interviews to talk to 1,000 users to get insight quickly. So what you want to do is to just go with the user platform, or just use console. You go look through the reviews, and it's as if you talked but briefly with thousands of users. And in case you know how to filter them right and where to look for the best product gaps and the best insights, it's even better. So the ones that work for me are first and foremost 3 and 4 stars reviews. Those are my favorites because, well, when it's 1 star or 5 star, there's also quite common, very useful information there. But when a user puts you 3 or 4, somehow psychology tells us to validate why we do so. So they say it is 4-star because you're liking this, or it is 3-star because this thing doesn't work, but I still enjoy that part, right? And this is the most useful, I think, type of saying and very quick way, for you to get an insight. Another thing is updated reviews. So those are reviews with a story. So what is updated review? Updated review is like, because the stores are built in such an interesting way. So what happens there is, like the story is that these had a review, they left a review, and they at some point they came back and updated it. So by checking updated reviews and checking the history of those updates, this is really great because, well, you can see that this is a loyal user. So he already has a certain retention rate and he has certain history with the app. So this way, it's interesting to see why he updated it. It become better or worse. You can also track it down to version and see maybe this version introduced a feature that he liked better, so that you wrote that. And this way, you just filter by those power users who took the effort not just to like what they saw, but also to go and update and tell about it, right? And again, long text reviews are very useful, and say, we're lucky that it's just 5,000 symbols, so characters, so it's not that much, but it's also very nice to look at. So if you're using platform, filter by that. Another I think useful way to limit your time, and like if you have limited time, is to use semantic analysis, which is machine learning based process when using AI, the system goes and tags automatically all reviews with certain topics, right? So if you're using semantic analysis, of course, feature requests are the most useful because there's like that telling directly there what they want. But another interesting part is app updates. And this is interesting both for to track for your app and for your competitors, because for your app, you generally want to know how new update, especially if it's a big update, is perceived by users. And for your competitors, you can also see, like, in case there are many people saying like, I like this update, you just go and track what they released, and this can be the feature you want to add to your app, because you see that people are responsive and they're enjoyed that much that took the effort to write about it, right? So my recommendation here is that. And we go to the next one, which is the retention rate. And I think anybody who tried to manage retention rate, they know how tricky this metric is, because it's very, very dependent on so many factors. And it's based on traffic quality, it depends on the product quality, it depends on amount of frictions. So what we did at AppFollow, we did an internal experiment, and we did it ourselves, right? Measured for ourselves, right? So what we did, we compared retention rate of users who received a customer support reply and who didn't. And so the result you see here and graph you see here. So this is the retention rate from the moment they asked for help, whether they were helped or not, right? And what we meant, like the results are really, really fascinating. So the thing is that the users who have been helped generally have a 30% higher retention rate. And this is like relative numbers. So generally it means that, well, they're more loyal and they're more kind of to have a tendency to stick with your app. I think these numbers would be different depending on what type of game you have, what type of app you have, and the longer the general lifetime is, the bigger the difference would be, I'd say. So of course, for hyper casual, it would be different, but the general idea behind it is by replying to reviews and showing your loyalty to your customers, you kind of you build their loyalty, right? And this ends up on a higher retention rate, which ends up on a higher LTV, right? So this is again about the product quality and about your customers having a voice and knowing that they're heard. Right. So this is the cases that show that while reviews do affect the major metrics and they do affect profitability, right? But now I'd like to share some cases and hacks on what you can do for your app to achieve those metrics and what you can do to achieve them quickly with limited budget, right? So the first rule of a reply strategy is to have a reply strategy. And here I have, and by meaning having a strategy, it means that you do experiments, you do something, and then you analyze whether it works for you or not. And yeah, so this is like the most important part. So this is a case from Tinkoff. So what they did is they started replying to reviews systematically by analyzing this templates work and this doesn't. We reply here this way and that way. We do here we do the routing, here we don't. So generally analyzing and polishing the strategy. And they brought so they started doing that, and it brought them to average rating to 4.82, which is high above the benchmark of their industry, but also a really great number. I don't know how many of you guys have apps. I would ask if you want, if you raise your arm if you want, just in case you have this high rating. But this is generally really, really good results. And besides that, by generally analyzing what works and what doesn't, they reduced cost per ticket by 3 times, because they would know that for their app and their industry and their users, you need to spend more time here. I don't have to spend a lot of time on this type of ticket. You just reply quickly with a template, right? So yeah, having a strategy is important. The metrics to track here are reply rate. Generally, this is how to watch what amount of reviews you're replying. And in case you're limited in budget or don't have a dedicated team, my advice here is to pick up top countries and top 5 or top 10 countries and experiment there, so that you don't have to work on whole international amount of reviews, and then scale what works for other countries. So reply rate can be total, so it's like all reviews, but also it's important to track the reply rate on featured reviews. Featured reviews are those that are displayed as highlighted by store on App Store page, and now you don't have an influence on which would be picked up. By replying to featured reviews, it's a proof that, well, it also affects conversion rate even better, right? And updated reviews, again, those loyal customers who took the effort to come back and tell you something, so that you show that you value their loyalty. Another metric, I think this is the one generally suggested by Google Play, but also worth taking account everywhere, no matter what type of app or what platform you're using. So this is average rating change. It's about, so the moment you reply to review, if there was update since then and the rating changed higher or lower, you want to know that, because this way you know how you're affecting the rating, right? And you know in which way to affect the rating best, so it's growing. So the next thing here is automation. I think generally 2020 and like this century is more about automating everything, and it's slowly getting to customer support. We see more chatbots on web services, but it's also getting to mobile customer support. So the thing is that, well, humans and robots excel at different tasks, right? And there are things that humans do better and things that robots do better. And the idea behind this is that automation probably wouldn't replace your whole team, but it would allow your team to focus on what's important and what the most important and most interesting tasks. So humans generally win at dealing with complex situations, dealing with emotions, dealing with some non-standard cases, and building support strategy and analyzing it, right? So this is definitely want humans to do, but at the same time, especially for mobile world, because this reply window is so minimal and it's just one window. There's no any sequences there. So auto replies win at international support. So I think this is especially true for gaming, when your team probably a customer support team will probably speak 5 safe languages, and you support many more customers from all over the world. So anyway, if for example nobody on your team speaks Chinese, you probably have anyway templates for the most common topics. I don't know, like monetization, subscription, or just levels or whatever, right? So anyway, you're already using those templates and copy pasting them randomly. So auto replies can do that. Dealing with common issues, again, I think it's different for for different apps, but usually there is like a certain amount of like, for example, if you're a subscription-based game, so probably up to 70% of your tickets will be about that. So you probably have an answer for that, very, very diverse. So you don't start it from scratch every time. In interesting situations with positive reviews, there are a huge amount of short positive reviews, because people are generally typing it from their phones. They're not, some of them don't take effort to like tell your whole story. So, but at the same time, it's nice to reply that, well, thank you, we enjoy that you enjoyed our app, right? So positive reviews can also be replied automatically. And another thing is routing the right place. So in case you have like FAQ page, or you prefer them to submit their request support in a certain situation, certain conditions to a certain platform. So again, this not necessarily have to be done by human. And again, auto replies, they evolve. They not necessarily mean that it's just one template and this or that. So there's a chance, well, if you're using the right tool, you can do the randomize it. So generally can create a folder with 40 different ways of thanking your users back, and then randomize it so it actually looks like a human. And it just basically helps you to be more efficient and to help big amount of customers. So the case I have here is from Bitmango, which are doing casual puzzle games. Great. So what they did is they introduced auto replies for their reviews. And what they saw is they managed to increase their reply rate in 2.3 times in just 3 days. And besides that, well, they had some concern. Well, it might affect the rating negatively because users would know, but in fact they don't. Right, and it even increased the average rating. And here you can see the graph for just 3 days, and there's an increase in rating as well. But on a bigger picture, again, the rating continued to excel because big amount of users received a reply and updated their rating positively, right? So generally, it's like a win-win situation. You help big amount of customers, and you get high rating, right? So if you're introducing automation, the metrics to track here is total reply rate, because now you can support internationally really quickly at no cost. Cost per ticket, right? Because now you want your customer support team on focus on complex issues, and this way you'll see that the cost per ticket would decrease, right? Average reply time, which is also a very important thing, right? And it shows that, well, the quicker you reply, the higher the chances that it will be updated. And this is what you want, right? So, and automation, what's good about automation and robots, that they are very fine with working 24/7, the whole team, no complaints about it. So they can reply to reviews really quickly, which is also great. And like your customers are helped also very quickly. And average first reply time, right? So this is the difference here, is the first reply time is even more important because this is like a first touch with the customer. So you really want to show that you're here for him, right? And talking about quick replies, I believe that acting quickly is very important for mobile world, not just because it's such a quick industry where everything happens very rapidly, but also is because, well, this way you're more efficient as a team. So here I have a case from Innovative Connected from Singapore. So what they did is they moved to reply platform from console. So I'd say that there are many good things about App Store and Google Play consoles, but I'd say that the functionality about replying to reviews is pretty limited. So my recommendation here, definitely use a platform, because this way you can do it better and can you do it quicker. And what you can see there, so the moment they moved to console, they managed to reply 50% faster. And on average, it saved them more than 1,000 hours per month for support team. And in terms, if we talk money, you can calculate it for yourself, how much an hour of your support team member costs and how much money is 1,000 hours, right? So this is like really, really good efficiency. Even put aside customer acquisition cost and LTV, it's just generally about the efficiency of your customer support team. And I think generally their happiness, because, well, there's no those hurdles of loading consoles, or they have more tools to be more efficient and analyze what they do, right? So if you're doing building reply quickly strategy, the metrics track here, obviously average reply time, average first reply time, and cost per ticket. So this is again not only about being more efficient, but also about helping big amount of customers and knowing that this amount of time spent per ticket is okay, and this is optimal amount, which would lead to excel of your average rating. Right. So, and on final note, I'd like to mention that reviews the only aspect to affect both customer acquisition cost and LTV. So ignoring them is ignoring great growth opportunity, and managing like those metrics that are really important. And I'd say even if you don't have a dedicated team for that, my advice here is to start with at least small experiment. Just pick up a country, experiment with it, see what works, and then you can scale. Because even slight adjustments to your reply strategy or just building the reply strategy affects your final metrics and grows your budget, and then you can do marvelous things. I also attached this for PDF, the links to the cases I mentioned, and open to any questions.
Thank you very much, Vera. This was a great talk to listen to.
Thank you.
We have a few questions from the audience who are watching us live on WNHub.io. So if you mind, I will voice over them.
Sure.
So first one is it a good practice to report irrelevant user reviews? For example, my app getting reviews from non-target audience, and they don't like the app, give it 1-star rating without any coherent feedback. What strategy should we apply here?
Right. I think this is a great question. Thank you for asking that. So this is about, so what happens, the stores have this report a concern policy, right? And generally, there are like 4 reasons why you might do that. And 2 main of those are off topic and being aggressive. So this is not only a good way to build an image. So what my recommendation here is, if you're using console, go and report it there. If you're using a platform, you can do it there. You can even optimize it, because you can just put automation rule, like saying if those are swear words, for example, then go report it. So what happens next is that the stores themselves, they look into the issue, and in case it's aggressive tone or it's off topic, so it's generally the case you described, so it's not about the app itself, they go and delete it. And this is good for 2 reasons. First, it's good for your image because you don't have those aggressive reviews on your page. And secondly, it affects your rating as well, because you get rid of all those 1 stars, and now the balance is different, so average rating grows. So I think this is like a wonderful thing you should do for your app, and I think this should be a part of reply to review strategy for any player who cares about the rating.
Thank you very much. Great answer. And another quick question from the same user, it's Yuri Vislov. He asks, you mentioned that it's a good practice to reply on every review with 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 stars. And what about 5-star reviews? Should we reply to them as well?
Yeah, I'd say, so the case you mentioned, this case for Playtika, this for the experiment they did. My recommendation is to reply to as many reviews as you can, just because for 1 to 4, there's a chance for you to increase in the rating, but for 5 stars, it's also a chance for, showing your gratitude and keeping the loyal customer loyal and showing that you love him back, right? And you can do it manually, you can do it via automation, which I find best, because you can write a number of very thoughtful, nice descriptions, like "thank you for enjoying my app," and then randomize it, right? And this way you can do it automatically. You don't spend the time of your customer support team, but it's just done automatically. So my recommendation, of course, don't ignore those, especially don't ignore those that are featured, because those are displayed in the page. And also always nice to see that while some people, it makes your app more human, I'd say, and show the other people on the other side of the screen and doing the app and like getting real emotion. So of course do.
Thank you very much. It's always worth it to add something personal to even such things as ratings and reviews and the replies to the reviews. Thanks again. We actually have one more question related to automation. It's a pretty complicated one. It comes from Oksana Yurosevich. Hi, Oksana. Welcome to WN Hub. And it's pretty complicated, so I would suggest if you connect on WN Hub directly to discuss it, or either on lectures chat or in personal messages, because we have to wrap it up and move on to the next speaker. All right?
Sure. I'd love to answer all your questions, Oksana.
Great. So Vera, please join us on lectures chat on the platform. If you have any questions how to do it, let our support know on welcome.wn.media. And thanks once again for amazing presentation. It was lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me.